All right. Well, good evening and welcome to the Hawarden, I'm going to call it the City Government Candidate Forum tonight, sponsored by the Hawarden Chamber. If you don't know, I'm Colin Wiggins, one of the Chamber Committee members, and I'll be your moderator for tonight's forum. For this year's election, for City Council, we have 2 seats open with 4 people who have graciously offered to run. And for the mayoral seat, we have no formal candidates, but 1 current write-in candidate who has chosen to be present with us tonight. So please help me and welcome the candidates for City Council: Christy Warner, Ben Boza, Mike Finch, and Derek Allen, and write-in candidate for mayor, Larry Gregg. Thank you all for being here tonight. All right, the format for tonight's event: each candidate was provided, I think it was 7 questions ahead of time that they can prepare for, and we will go through those first. After those questions have all been answered, then we will take any questions from the audience, and if we go through those and we still have time, I have a few questions we can throw in, or we can wrap things up wherever we're at. This, again, just a reminder for both the candidates and for the audience, this is not a debate. So the goal here is for each candidate to share their reasons for why they're here, why they're running, why this is special to them related to the topic that the question is, and how they can best serve not only the position but the city of Hawarden. Questions will be tried to be kept general in nature and not specific towards one person or one candidate. So please keep that in mind for any of your questions. We did do a random drawing for the order in which they're seated. This will determine who's answering the questions first. So with the first question, Larry will answer first, and then we will go through the order. For the second question, then Christy will answer first. That way all of the candidates get a chance to answer the question first. All right, ready to begin? All right. First question, and this will be with Larry starting for answering first. Why are you seeking a seat on either the council or mayor of City of Hawarden, and what skills and experience can you contribute to the position?
Okay, thank you. I would like to thank the Chamber and Colin for hosting this and for everybody that's here tonight. Very good turnout, I think. I've always, when I was younger even, had interest in community service and working in the government. I feel it's something that's valuable. I like to be able to solve problems when I can. But when Mayor Porter decided not to run again, and there was no one else that filed to get their name on the ballot, I felt a need to jump in and fill that spot. I had some people that encouraged me to do it, and so here I am. The skills and experience I bring, I've got many leadership positions during my teaching career of 39 years here at West Sioux, and also after I have retired from teaching. I'm currently on the We Care Board. I'm president of the library board and president of the school board. The skills I bring to the position of mayor, I've got experience running boards and board meetings. I think I'm prepared and organized, an ability to connect with people. I'm a good listener, and I try to be respectful at all times, level-headed, calm, can think out of the box, dedicated and sincere. That's my answer.
Thank you, Larry. All right, Christy.
Okay. First of all, I would like to welcome those in attendance that are here for the forum. Thank you for coming tonight. To answer question number 1, I am seeking a seat on the City Council to be a voice for the community. I have worked 20 plus years in the city offices, providing various services to the citizens of Hawarden. During that time, I've learned many city processes, and I've also formed many trusting relationships with the citizens that I provided services to. I have attended several city council meetings since April of 2021, and if elected, I feel this would be another opportunity that I could proudly serve the citizens once again.
Thank you. Ben?
All right, well, I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. I think this is an important part of the process, the election process, and getting to know the candidates. And I thank the Chamber for giving us that opportunity. But as far as question one, why do I seek a seat on the Hawarden City Council? I think, most importantly, I care about our city. And I care about what it's going to look like for our children, okay? I've been a part of a number of boards, and it's important to be a part of the solution. I think my experience is valuable. I think my talents serving on other boards can be put to good use. Serving the citizens of Hawarden, I think I'm loyal to the community. And I just, as adults, I think we need to practice what we preach to our kids at school, to be volunteers and to be a part of that solution and to get involved in your communities. And I think that's important for us to do as well as adults if we're going to preach that to the kids.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. Mike?
Hi, my name's Mike Finch. Just like to thank everybody for coming tonight. The reason I'm seeking, because I've always lived in Hawarden, I'm just born and raised here, just trying to do what I can to improve on the city. Skills and experience, I've been on the golf board, was a member at Wells Bubani on a maintenance team, and just, that's about it, yeah.
Derek?
Yeah, I'm Derek Allen. I've been a resident of this town my entire life, except for the 4 years that I was active duty. I've always had an interest in city government. I don't necessarily go to many council meetings, but I watch them all. I just want to, I've done several things in this community, and being on the council is just one more step in serving my community. The real reason that I think is I want this place to become a place where our kids want to live. I've raised 5 kids, and none of them live in Hawarden. I moved back here to raise my kids, and I want to continue that tradition of having that be the opportunity for everybody who's going to graduate high school, coming back, having a job. That's why I want to be on the board. My skills and experience, I sit on a number of organizations. I've been in the military for 23 years. So conflict resolution, keeping a level head, dealing with other people, that's my strong suit. It's what I've been doing my entire life. So that's what I think I bring to this.
All right. We'll move on to question number 2. Christy, you'll be the first one to answer this. What do you feel are the city's most important problems and or opportunities right now? And how do you believe that the council or / mayor should address those issues?
Okay, thank you. The first item I had listed is the hiring of police officers. I am aware that the lack of officers at this time in Hawarden, and I know the city council is doing their best to fill those open positions. I also believe Sioux County has done an amazing job assisting Hawarden until the Hawarden Police Department is back at full staff. So that is one item that I feel that we are currently addressing. Item 2 would be high-tech. In 2021, the community voted for Hawarden to maintain high-tech instead of selling it to our competitor Premier. There have been many updates to the high-tech system, and everyone knows the internet usage is going to continue to increase. And with that said, I believe it is in Hawarden's best interest to continue to improve the city's fiber network. The next item would be the utility services. I want to say accolades to the past leaders of Hawarden. Because of them, the city owns the gas, electric, and water services. And there's not many municipals that can even say that. I know firsthand when new residents move to town, they are surprised to learn that it's all in one. And then they are happy because of the convenience of one billing system and the customer service. It's one department. They know where to call. So it's amazing, and they're happy to have that. I would be in support of any future upgrades that would be needed to keep Hawarden Utilities in operation and to keep the ownership with Hawarden.
Okay, thank you. Ben?
Sorry if I didn't have that on, if you can't hear me. I actually hit on two of those as well that I thought were very important to the current climate that we have in Hawarden, but number one is law and order. We need to have a fully staffed police force, and we need to enforce our laws. I think anyone that has been around has seen that drugs are an issue, not only in our community, but in a lot of communities. And I think that's something that we need to address and continue to address. Number two, you touched on infrastructure. Evaluating our current infrastructure, making updates, and exploring improvements. That's important not just for telephone and internet, but our roads, our sewer, our water, our electric, all those. Maintaining those and at times making them more efficient is important. Okay? And then the third thing that I think as a community we need to focus on is our visioning and planning. In order to improve your community, you have to listen to your community members and go through that process of evaluating what your community needs and how you can address those needs. And I think our visioning and planning process is important to continuing to do that. Not just once every 15 or 20 years, but I think you need to do that, periodically, maybe once every 2 or 3 years. But continuing to evaluate and decide what your goals are moving forward. And if those need to change, then change those. So law and order, infrastructure, community visioning, and planning.
Mike?
Well, for me, the high employee turnover lately, it would be an issue. Figure out why these people are leaving. We train them, we do send them to classes, and then they leave. So to me, that's very important. Attracting new businesses. We have some good businesses here, but it'd be nice to get some more competition for our local businesses. And then the third one would be the roads. We're doing some great things with the roads lately, but they're obviously in dire need of major attention.
Okay, Derek?
I would hit on a couple things they said too. One of the biggest things that we have in our community is keeping a police force. You got to understand that, yes, there's a drug problem in Hawarden, but there's a drug problem in every town. Having an active police force keeps it on the fringes, and it doesn't happen right downtown. If you haven't, I don't know if you've known this or not, but there's been 2 SWAT raids in town since we've basically lost our police department. Having our own police department keeps all that at bay. I agree with Mike on city employment. Part of it is keeping the right people in the right places. You can hire anybody, but making sure that they're in the right spot at the right time is a key thing for success. Even if it's infrastructure, no matter where they're at, that's key, is having the right people in the right places. I have one that's a little outside the box, and it goes along with what we have. I want to have respect at the county level. When I was a recruiter, I dealt with every community in town, every community in Sioux County. When I first started that job, I was ashamed to tell people I was from Hawarden because they would scoff and go, "River people." I don't want that anymore. So I want to have that level of respect at the county level, no matter what community we're up against. Because I don't feel that we should be any different than Rock Valley, Hall, Sioux Center. I don't think we should be any different. So I'd like to keep that, and part of it is the city government. Is the city government respected? Those are my 3 things.
Okay, Larry?
All good ideas. I like them. Mine starts out with affordable housing. We're not going to be able to attract people if we don't have housing for them. I would seek out grants to entice contractors to come and build new houses, apartment complex. Like to see the apartments above the Main Street businesses renovated, refurbished, and take care of the dwellings that are in need of repair. And we are doing some of that currently, and we just need to keep going. Number 2 is attract businesses to town. We need to aggressively, again, seek out grants and incentives for business to come to town. We need to have a stable, high-speed internet in order to attract businesses, because almost every business now needs to use the internet. We also need to provide the infrastructure needed to attract businesses, such as streets, water, sewer, and electricity. And my third thing is to improve the internet reliability, speed, and bandwidth. It's so important to keep our kids here. They require the internet, and I would entertain any ideas to either improve high-tech or look at other solutions.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to the next question. Ben, you'll start with the answer first on this one. One of the obvious functions of city government is to improve quality of life for the citizens of Hawarden, including things like recreational opportunities, clean and safe living environment, city-owned and maintained services. And the council and mayor has had a long history of doing that. How would you, as a candidate for your position, or in your position if you still get it, continue that?
Well, I think one of the important things that I've had the opportunity to do is serve on the Hawarden Parks and Rec Committee. And the people that I serve with on that are great people that have their finger on the pulse of this community. And I think that we've been able to listen to community members and ask them what would help improve that quality of life in Hawarden. So I think serving on that committee gives me that experience to do that. I think my position at the school gives me a unique experience to listen to the youth of our community and ask what they're looking for in a community that they may live in going forward. All right? And both of those, though, are no good if you're not able to sit down and talk to people. And I think that's a skill that I have and that I am fairly good at, is sitting down and just being able to talk to somebody about something. Okay? You don't get confrontational, you just sit and you talk to them. And I think that's an important part, listening to the people and hearing what they said. Coming up with a plan, setting goals, looking at what goals you can meet.
Okay, Mike?
Hawarden's got a lot of nice amenities, the swimming pool, the library. You know, if we don't take care of some of that stuff, we're really not a city without them. Like the water and all that, we own all those, just maintain the training for those guys to get them what they need. And that's about it.
Okay, Derek?
You know, I think that our town has a lot to be proud of. We have, like Mike said, we have a lot of amenities. We have things that other communities don't have. But the city council and the city itself, whether it's city employees or whatever, have done a really good job of keeping that together. In my mind, I think they do. I think they've done a fine job. I'd like to continue what they've done, maybe improve on it a little bit, and how, like Ben said, talking to people about what they want. Because if you sit down and talk to people and just listen, you'll get the idea of what they want. And several people might have the same ideas, but they articulate them differently. And having the ability to understand what they're trying to articulate is a big part of it. The only thing that I think would help is like a code enforcement, better code enforcement. I'm all about having buildings built, businesses come. I'm all about it, but I really like to know that they're safe. Because that's another thing that would help bring other things here, other people here, other businesses here, knowing that the infrastructure that we have is safe and operating, and having an inspection process with that would be the only thing that I would add to it.
Okay. Larry?
Yeah, I believe that recreation is an important part of the quality of life. There's some things, I think we can make some improvements to the swimming pool. I'd like to see a splash pad in the park, pickleball courts and tennis courts, expanding the walking trails. And again, I know that we have some groups that are working on doing those things, and we should support them. Also, I think our library adds a lot to the community, as well as the Chamber of Commerce and Arts Council and others do a good job of coming up with events that bring people together. And I think that's something that we need to do. It's important that we're not just in our own little clique, but we're with the whole community. And then I would say beautification of the city. Sometimes the weeds get out of control. I do some walking, and downtown there's weeds that haven't been taken care of. And houses. We need to make sure that the residents and businesses are maintaining their property.
Okay, Christie?
I 100% believe in everything mentioned in statement number 3. If elected, my goal would be to continue to look at opportunities or ideas that are presented to the council. One thing to consider is if it's budget-friendly, ask what are the risks involved, maybe find out what the city's liabilities are by having a certain item or whatever's been brought to their attention of what's being proposed, and then basically vote according to that data. So.
Okay. All right. The next question will be, Mike, you'll be the first one to answer this. What is the city council or mayor's role in economic development?
Carol does an amazing job I watch all the council meetings, and she's always talking about grants and stuff that she's filling out for different things, and the council just needs to stand behind her, I feel, and give her the tools that she needs to do, and assist her in whatever she's doing to continue that.
Okay, Derek?
The city council has a pretty major role when it comes to economic development. My biggest thing is we always ask the question, what do you need and how can we help? It's that, I mean, to me, it's really that simple. When it comes to a business coming to town or whatever the situation may be, it's don't stand in the way. I'm very much a libertarian, and I don't like government to be in the way. So how can we help, and what do you need? That's as simple as I can make it.
Okay. Larry?
Yeah, and I agree with Derek. We need to continue to fund and support our Economic Development Director, Carol Hugestrat. I do think she works very hard, and she's made a lot of progress in town. It's kind of disheartening, though, to see all the businesses in neighboring communities, Orange City and Sioux Center and Rock Valley. That is what we really need is more industry and small business. I think we're doing pretty good on the small business part, but not as well on industry that's going to provide jobs. We need to make sure that our city ordinances are business friendly. We need to have our streets in good shape, need to have good internet and other infrastructure that businesses need and look for. And I would like to see the Main Street revitalization continued.
Okay, thank you. Christie?
Going to agree with Derek on that. The Hawarden City Council's role in local economic development is to be as supportive as possible. So to see Hawarden grow, to support local businesses, to promote industry, to create jobs, and to improve the quality of life for the Hawarden residents.
All right, Ben?
I'm gonna sound like a broken record here.
Right?
There's two things that's gonna drive economic development in the community. One is that you create an environment that's gonna attract those businesses. And two is that you hire people in important positions that are able to develop relationships with those businesses and other stakeholders and give them the resources to effectively do their jobs. We've talked about Carol and we've talked about some of the other groups. Supporting them is important. Let's not just rely on just them. because that might overwhelm some of them. Let's not forget that we have other groups that we can take advantage of and that we can lean on to help us. And we all work to build our community, whether that's the chamber, the school, any of the other government entities. They all play a role in creating that environment that a business would want to come to. And that's what's the most important thing.
All right. Next question. Derek, you'll be the first one to answer this one. Understanding the community that you serve as a vital member for a member of the city government. Please talk about your past and present community involvement and how those experiences will help you in this role.
Ooh, I got to talk about myself. I don't like this one. So I sit on a number of things. I'm the chairman of the Avenue of Flags that takes place during Memorial Day. I took over for Roger Johnson a couple years ago. I took over for that. I literally could not do that without community support. There's 463, my wife would correct me, flags and poles that have to go up. I can't do that by myself. I'm active in my church, have been my entire life. I'm the Legion's deputy commander now. I just found that out not that long ago. Member of the fire department, member of EMS. I belong to the Enlisted Association for the Army National Guard. But, I mean, as the kids were growing up, even I was involved in literally everything. So watching all that grow and keeping all that stuff going is an important thing to do. I don't know about the council has a lot to do with it, other than the fact that they just need to support it, no matter what that organization is. So that's what I've done.
All right, Larry?
In my experience, I've been on the school board for 8 years. Currently, I'm serving as president. I'm also on the library board, been for 8 years, and currently is president of that. And I also serve on the We Care board. I've done that for 8 years. I'm an active member of the Hawarden Chamber of Commerce. I'm active in the Methodist Church, and I think my experience will help me in the position of mayor.
Christy?
I have served as Sunday school teacher for 3 years. I was a member of the Hawarden JCs for many years, and we had events such as after prom activities, Adopt a Highway, Teen Dance. We held the Carnival Contract, Demolition Derby, Derby Concessions, Egg Toss, Water Balloon Toss, Bike Races, MDA Breakfast, Easter Egg Hunt, and yes, I have been an Easter Bunny. During time served with the JCs, I have been a member. I've also been president, and I have been district director. I've organized crews to take gate money for the Hawarden Outlaw Tractor Pull for 6 years. Have been a coach for the SYA girls volleyball, both in Hawarden and Sioux City. And I have been a chamber member as an individual membership. I do donate to I donate bake sale items when asked for fundraisers, so I'm very involved in that. And when there's a knock on the door and it's a kid selling something, I am a for sure buyer. Doesn't even matter what it is. I've always had a pay it forward belief. I currently am not serving on any boards, councils, or commissions, so that basically means if any organizations approach the city council for any reason and a vote is needed, if I am elected, my vote will count, and I would not have to abstain because there is no conflict of interest.
All right. Ben?
Well, I'm going to kind of separate the things that I do into three main categories. Number one, at the school, I've served as on the buildings district leadership team. I'm the activities director, and through that role, I've been the chair of the War Eagle Conference. I've been the district football chair. Outside of the school in the community, again, I've served on the Hawarden Parks and Rec Committee, and I've been a part of some major fundraising efforts. In relation to that, I've been involved in youth activities, youth clubs, Labor Day activities, things like that. And then outside our community, even in our region, the Northwest Iowa region, I'm the treasurer of the New Directions Down Syndrome Association. My daughter has Down syndrome, and so my wife and I have decided to become an active part of that community as well. And that's really opened our eyes to a whole new perspective on life. And I think that's important to have those different perspectives and that experience that comes with that. I also serve on the Northwest Iowa STEM Advisory Council. And that's appointed by the governor, and it makes decisions regarding funds and how to promote STEM activities in Northwest Iowa. But I think the biggest thing that I can say, and I think people would say this about me, no matter what team I've been on, no matter what board I've been on, I'm somebody that you can count on. If you need something done, I can get it done. And I think that's important.
All right, Mike?
I worked for the city for about 8 years, so I'm kind of used to dealing with the public and what people, questions or concerns they have. I served as a ambulance director for a year, was on the ambulance for a couple of years, served on the fire department for a couple of years, as well as a storm spotter for a few years, and then I served on the golf board for 3 years. So that's my experience.
Okay. Next question, Larry, you'll be first to answer this one. Survival of a small town depends on cooperation among a lot of organizations within the community, including schools, hospitals, businesses, churches, fire, police departments, service clubs, etc. How can this Hawarden City Council or mayor be more cooperative or continue those relationships with those type of organizations?
Yeah, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I see a lot of cooperation in the city. Our Labor Day celebration would not go off if there wasn't cooperation among groups. So I'd like to see that continue. If there's a need, we could call a quarterly meeting of the representatives of all the organizations and talk about how they can help each other and do events or whatever they want to do. And I think the mayor and the council need to model being cooperative and set an example.
Christy?
Okay. I would say being involved, to be present and to be aware of what is happening in each organization, and to be a positive source if any of them reach out with specific requests.
Okay, Ben?
I think you need to create an environment where those organizations can thrive. Put the infrastructure and the services in place so that those organizations can set their own goals and set their own dreams and go out and achieve those. I feel like in our community, we have a lot of people in our community with a vast array of knowledge and experience. And utilizing those people in different avenues and working with each other in these different groups is important. Letting those people collaborate, people that might be on the fire department, might help you in bringing in a business or an industry, and letting those people cross maybe something that they used to only be in the fire department, but encouraging them to reach out to each other and collaborate with each other, and that's important. We have one common goal, and that's to make our community better and to make the people that live in our community better and to help the people in our community.
Mike?
Pretty much talk with representatives of whatever organization you're dealing with, possibly do a walkthrough with their business so we can fully understand what they do, what they need, and any way we can help them out. Yeah, just pretty much be there for them if they need to fill out a grant, or if it's a school or the city amenity, then give them what they need as long as it makes sense and not waste a bunch of money. And
Okay, Derek?
I'll go back to, a lot of us said the same thing, but I'm going to go back to listening. The people on these boards or in these businesses, they're the experts in their field. We don't know everything that there is to know about what they do or how they do it, like what Mike said. But I'm always going to go back to what do you need and how can we help? I'm always going to fall back to that. I agree with Christy too, being active, being a part of it, no matter what the organization is. I think the council and the mayor need to have that. If you don't have that. But the other thing is with the businesses, business is a big thing. I remember being a kid and this place was booming. I just remember it. if you have one business in town, that can bring another and bring another. As long as they're going to go to their friends and the people that they know in their industry, go, we'll move to Hawarden for reasons X, Y, and Z. If we understand that, that can help us in the long run as well. So going back to listening and how can we help?
All right. And the last question that the candidates have prepared for, before it gets really interesting. Christy, you'll be the first one to answer this.
Okay.
Part of the city council and the mayor's job is to create a vision for the future of Hawarden. I know a few of you have mentioned that in some of your different answers. What is your vision for Hawarden 5, 10, or 20 years into the future?
Okay, overall, the vision for the future, it's important for rural communities to sustain and grow their services, population, businesses, entertainment, and recreational facilities. And at the same time, they make improvements where they can. And I want to work to see that happen. For Hawarden, we move it forward.
All right, Ben?
Well, I think for all small towns in Iowa and across the Midwest, they're in a constant state of change. Whether that be their demographics, social changes, economic changes, communities are always changing. I don't think we necessarily know what Hawarden's going to look like 5, 10, or 20 years from now. That could be different than what the Hawarden community looks like now. And so I think it's important that we develop a culture where people can adapt and change when those changes occur. I think we need to be welcoming to new members of our community. We need to be welcoming to businesses. We need to have an open mind, and we need to adapt as our community changes. Now, I firmly believe that if something isn't broke, don't fix it. Okay, so a lot of the things that we have in place, we're going to continue to have in place. But I think a major characteristic of a good leader is being able to evaluate a system and decide if it's broke. Is it serving the needs of our community? Is it doing what we want it to? And being able to do that is something that I think a good city council member needs to be able to do. And I think I can do that.
All right, Mike?
My vision would be, we need more industry here, better paying jobs for the people, try to keep, we have a lot of people that commute to other towns for work, try to keep them here. Be nice to have some competition for what we have, just to drive the prices down, and you have more options for the citizens of Hawarden.
Derek?
I look at all the goals, no matter, I always think in long-term, midterm, and short-term goals, but they all encompass one thing: what's best for the people of Hawarden. That's simply the start of it. Because as elected individuals to the city council or the mayor, we represent the people of town. So we have to do that. My short-term goal is, like was stated in the beginning, is the police force and city employees having the right people in the right places. That's the short term. We have to fix it right now. Midterm, I like the idea of, my idea would be for infrastructure. I mean, we're doing great things now. Obviously, like Ben said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we can improve on that, because as we improve our infrastructure, it makes Hawarden more marketable to bring other businesses in, to have that competition like Mike was talking about. The other thing is, how do we market our town? One of the things that I did as a military recruiter is I had to market that. It's really hard to get kids to sign up to join the military. And I was fairly successful for 10 years. But it was all about how I marketed it. And I marketed myself. So that's something that we need to consider doing too, whether it's with the Chamber of Commerce or the City Council or whatever, and have everybody be on board. How are we going to market it? Because we live in a location that is perfect for people to live in. We're 40 minutes from everything. So we need to market that as well, I believe. Long-term for economic growth is, I say it's a long-term goal, but it's an everyday goal. What's going to be best? Again, and I go back to what's going to make our kids want to live here. And I'm always going to go back to that, and what's going to be best for the people of town. So that's where my goals are.
All right, Larry?
Yeah, I took a little lighter spin on this question and created a wish list of things that I think the city would like. But knowing that a lot of these aren't possible unless you have unlimited money. But anyway, I think we do need the fast and stable internet in every house and business. I think businesses are going to be increasingly using the internet, and there'll be many online only businesses. There'll be customized cable TV packages, so you don't have to get all the channels that you don't want. Here's one. A domed swimming pool is heated and open year-round. Might not be realistic, but it's on a wish list. Multiple pickleball and tennis courts. Yeah, we can do that. 5% yearly increase in population. I would like to see the population increase, and we need to have jobs for them. Enough housing to match the population growth. Can't increase your population unless you have some place for them to live. In 20 years, there'll be new materials and new methods in street construction. That means potholes are a thing of the past. Won't have to worry about that anymore. I'd like to see additional streetlights put in. I'd like to see a drive-in movie theater come in. Churches making a comeback and expanding their congregations. I'm not sure the city has too much to do with that, but that's on my wish list. I'd like citizens to be engaged in the city, school, and community groups. I'd like to see the city have to deal with a surplus budget, which that would be interesting and nice to have once in a while. We need an available workforce that matches the need for workers. You see the signs all over town, help needed, and we just don't have the people to fill those positions. And it's affecting our quality of life, I believe. And that's what I got.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time, everybody wake up out there. This is the time, the active participation part of the show here. So this time we will open it up to questions from the audience. Wow, don't all jump up at once.
I've got a question. With the looming, we have a bond vote coming up in a week. How crucial is that to the success of the community?
All right, so just in case you didn't hear that, we have upcoming school board election bond issue. How do you feel that affects the city positively or negatively? So, Ben, you are first one to answer that question.
Well, I think any time that you can make one of those stakeholder groups that we talked about stronger, it will benefit your city. A strong school system is a major part of that. I think one of the challenges that we face is some divisiveness in that decision-making process. And how are we going to get through that as a community and Ironton as a community, whatever we end up deciding to do. And hopefully this bond passes and we can move forward from it. But in the grand scheme of things, a stronger school means a stronger community.
All right, Mike?
I'll agree a lot with Ben there. The school's important. When I moved back here so my kids didn't have to worry about getting on a bus to school. They could just walk. That's one of the things. So for future people, if we have a better school, that's going to draw and attract more people to this town if we have a good school system.
Derek?
I agree too, and I was like Mike too. When I moved back here and at the time I had 2 little kids, I moved back here because of the school. And it's the school I graduated from. Having a strong school is important for a community. I've seen the communities around, like I used to deal with all the schools, and if the school is not, I'm going to say up to par, I'm not saying that doesn't mean one way or the other, it affects the community. I look at a community like, for example, George. They have George Little Rock High School. there's nothing there. I don't want to fall into that, so I hope this bond issues. I think the marketing for this one has been a lot better, and the understanding, the way, what this bond is going to do and what the money's going to do, because I think the last time there was a misconception on, we're going to build a school, and we're voting on where we're going to build it. Are we going to build it in Ironton, or are we going to build in Hawarden? So the understanding that the community has for this bond issue is much better, but having a quality school is included in the quality of life of town.
Larry?
Yeah, I think this bond issue is very important for the city of Hawarden. It is very nice to have elementary school in your town. When people come and look, as you have, they look at the elementary school. If you look at our elementary school in Hawarden now, you would not be too impressed. That would not be something that you would want to come and live in Hawarden for. So what we need to do, I believe, is to upgrade our buildings and make them better learning environments. The more we can do that, the more that will benefit the city as a whole.
Christie?
I too fall in that category where I had moved away, started up my family, and then relocated my family back to Hawarden for that reason. We were in Sioux City, and I decided West Sioux was where we needed to be. So my daughter would be able to attend West Sioux and have a great experience with her education. We are all one. We are West Sioux. And I think we need to come together as a community and show support for our teachers and students and make this happen.
All right. All right. Who else has a question from the audience? Okay, well, you're still thinking out there. I think a couple of you have mentioned housing in a few of your different answers, so let's talk a little bit about that. Housing for both single-family and multifamily here in Hawarden is, I think we could all agree, is fairly limited, or at least the housing market's changed a lot in the last few years. What would you do, or what would you like to see done to improve this? Mike, you were starting it first.
I think there needs to be like some better apartments, give them some options. Not everybody wants to purchase a house. Just, we need a lot better options than what we have.
Okay, Derek?
When it comes to housing, I'm not a big fan of, per se, the city owning property outside of the city municipal property. However, that doesn't mean that we can't support people that want to build it. Because the city itself, the city of Hawarden's not going to build an apartment complex, or it's not going to build houses. However, we can support the people that will and give them an incentive to want to build it here. Whether that's, I don't know, spitballing a tax incentive or whatever the case may be. Again, how can we help rather than standing in the way of that?
Okay. Larry?
Yeah, I will echo that. The city can seek out grants to entice the contractors to come in and build, refurbish what we have, and refurbish dwellings that are in need of repair. So I think it's important that we do whatever we can. It's holding us back.
Okay. Christie?
Okay, so like I'm going to double echo, so that and that. Yeah, it's a tough question because, you know, your interest rates are not the best place they could be, you know, a couple years ago. Inflation itself is with, you know, keeping people from buying. So it's tough market out there. So I guess basically whatever the city council could do to support a developer that might want to come in. There's some amazing apartments over in Sioux Center. Beautiful. I just, you know, that's about what the council can do. I do agree too that I don't think the council should be in that capacity of owning land, and there needs to be a separation, but also being able to like support any development that could happen if an outside construction company or prospect like that would happen.
Okay. Ben?
I I think the process of improving the housing in the community is a process that might start slow and you ramp it up. You might first make an investment in some of our rental units and some of our maybe dilapidated units that we have in the area, and start working to build them. And then as those higher value homes start to generate more of a tax base, you can slowly but surely ramp up that process. I think it's important to state that in order to convince somebody to make an investment in your community is going to have to make an investment as well, whether that be tax breaks or rebates on utilities or things like that. There's a whole array of things that you can offer those developers, but they're not just going to come and throw their money into our community unless this community shows that we're willing to make it enticing for them, make it worth their while. So that's something that we're going to have to evaluate. Might be a hard pill to swallow, but if that's what you really want, then that's what we may have to do.
Okay. Anybody questions?
Mike kind of stole my question. I'm going to go his way a little bit. Hayward Hospital is very important for this community, and they're doing an expansion project right now, and I know there's cooperation going on, but I also know there's future needs that are going to be needed because our physical therapy department needs to be grown. We're kind of landlocked. You need to be, I guess, open to some ideas down the road because we're under a big project right now, so that's not necessarily a question, but how, you realize Hayward Hospital is very important to the community. Maybe that's the way to go about it, and just make a comment or two about
Okay.
that. Is that fair?
Sure. Yeah, so any ideas or comments that you have on the importance of the hospital and or expansion in a landlocked area? How does that sound? Work? Derek, you're first.
We're extremely blessed to have our hospital. Our hospital doesn't necessarily only support Hawarden, but it supports Alcester and Ireton and Akron and a lot of the surrounding communities. So we're pretty blessed to what we have. And I am not opposed to, or would I ever be opposed to, a hospital expansion of any kind. As long as it's cost effective and it's going to be better this community, I'm all for it. So like you said, the physical therapy department needs to be expanded. I'm sure we can find something somewhere at some point to do that. But right now what we got going on is pretty awesome. It's kind of hard to get in and out of there in an ambulance right now, but I mean, it'll get better. So yeah, we're really blessed to have our hospital that we have.
Larry?
Yeah, I agree. Wonderful hospital. It's really an object of pride to the community. I wish it was sitting out on the highway more so more people could see it when they're driving through town. But I think the hospital's done a very good job of planning and making use of the land that they have. I know that they're building a new clinic, and that might free up some space from the old clinic. I don't know if there's plans for that or not, but they'll find a way, and I'll support any hospital expansion.
Okay, Christy?
Yes, I agree. The hospital is an absolute blessing, and I would support 100% if there was a need brought to the council for conversation about needing some ideas about expansion. So definitely be on the table for discussion.
Okay, Ben?
You know, no, I'm kidding. It's great to have a hospital in your community, and it's not just because you have that service readily available to you of a hospital and all the other services that they offer with the clinic and the testing and things like that, but it's a benefit to your economy. Somebody comes into the hospital for a checkup, they might stop and eat dinner, they might stop and fill gas. You know, they're going to spend money in your community, and it's going to raise your residential home values having a hospital in your community. So it is vitally important that we have that to take advantage of those benefits to a community.
Mike?
My wife actually works for the hospital, and I've used their services a few times this year. So I know how important it is to have that readily available. As far as, yeah, I think they'll find a spot for their, since they are landlocked a little bit, they'll find a spot and figure out how to expand and utilize the space the best they can.
Okay. All right. Other questions?
I'm a member of the food bank in Hawarden, and as you know, we operate out of the American Lutheran Church. We are being asked to leave there in December. We have no place to go. Suggestions?
It's a great question. Larry, you were the first to answer that. Lucky you.
Larry's basement.
I think there's places in town that would work for you. If the city has any buildings that they could use, that would be wonderful. But I do think we need to understand that the food pantry is an important thing that we need to continue, and we all need to help try to find a place where they can work.
Okay, well, I do not have the exact location answer for you, but I would definitely believe the food pantry is a wonderful source for a lot of families in this community. It's very important to have that service in town. I would definitely would like to brainstorm and talk with members of the community to see if they have any suggestions, specific location, to kind of touch on there if there's a location that maybe that the city owns, possibly. We'd have to first know what their needs are, like space-wise, and what the, can it be handicap accessible? I know there's different things that you got to be careful and be able to get those products to those families that come and receive those services. So different things I'd want to touch base with those individuals that currently help at that shelter, at the food pantry, and get their thoughts first.
Ben?
Well, first of all, I'd like to know what Denny did to get kicked out of the church. But in all honesty, I think we need to find a temporary home for our food pantry, and that's the first important step. Because I don't think you make a jump to a permanent home right away unless somebody had that idea off the top of their head. There isn't one available. Okay, so I think you need to look at a temporary home. And based on conversations that I've had, our senior center's aging. We want pickleball courts, the food pantry, some other things that would serve our community. Maybe we need to look at building a multi-use facility that's city owned. And maybe try to generate some revenue from something like that by, we have a community center that we hold wedding receptions in, but there's other events that might be used and would benefit from a multi-use facility. That's an avenue we could pursue. But we have to think outside the box a little bit, and in a small town, sometimes a facility like that can serve multiple purposes. And so I think that's an avenue we could look into.
Mike?
I agree 100% with what Ben just said. Yeah, long-term, we need to figure out something that we can use for a bunch of different things. When I was at the city, we helped unload those food pantry shipments they would get in, and it's not a very good process they have to deal with up there. But yeah, we need to work with them and figure out a much better system that'll work long-term for them.
Derek?
Yeah. I'm all for the multi-use facility. I like that idea, but again, like Ben said, we need to find a temporary home. And what Christy said, asking, what do you need? Where can we find it? There's multiple organizations in town that we could ask for help as well. But if it came down to something that the city owned, I would be 100% for using it.
Okay. Other questions?
You guys talked about police force quite a bit, and you would like to see more hired. The city council now, I would assume, had that same vision. What do you guys see happening to help that process?
Christy, you're first on this one.
I believe that they have sent out, they're in the process of hiring the chief of police. From that point on, they are also advertising in a couple of different locations, platforms for the actual police officers now. So I think they're just looking at different avenues of getting the word out and trying to collect those applications and go from there and do their deciding of who gets hired.
How, as a city council, can we help keep our police force? I know that was a big discussion in previous city council meetings. Is there ways, I mean, we're losing out to Sioux County as a city council member.
Yes, can I
Yep, go ahead.
continue, or do you want to go around?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
We'll just say more like, what can you do to keep?
Continue.
Once you hire, what can we do to
Once
help
they're hired,
maintain and
I
keep police
guess-
force here?
I would like to know, like, communication, why did they leave? So, as a council person, I'd like to know that information, if they were willing to share, and then take a look and see, well, what is going on? You know, what are those reasons? And then see what we could do as a council to retain, because, you know, you spend all that money with the training, and you know, you want them to be a part of the community. You want them to come here. You want them to bring their families here, and you want them to grow and be part of the community and stay. And, you know, it's tough when they do leave. It really is. So I'd be asking those questions of why, and talking to them individually and seeing what we can do to retain them.
Ben?
I think the easiest answer that somebody could say is we pay them more. Okay, but that's not going to work necessarily. We have one pot of money. Okay, and that pot of money has to serve all of our needs. Okay. Do we need to pay our police chief more? Maybe, yes. Do we need to pay our officers more? Maybe, yes. But making sure that they know that we respect them and that we want them to be a part of that solution is important. Maybe more important. I work at the school, and there's times that we've taken pay freezes. But part of the reason that we did that is because we understood the situation that the district was in, and that we wanted to be a part of the solution. And I think our police force is that same way. You respect them, you make them part of that decision-making process, and sometimes that pill of not getting the raise that you were expecting is easier to swallow.
Mike?
First off, I think hiring the chief is the first step, and then let him sit in on the interviews, whatever, for the candidates. But, yeah, we need to listen to the reasons why some of them are leaving and see what, as a city, we can do to retain them better. Yeah, since we give them all the training, we need to try to work with them and figure out why they're leaving, so we don't waste all that money on them.
Derek?
I believe that law enforcement is the most dangerous job there is. And I don't care if you're a big city cop, or if you're a highway patrolman, or if you're a small town Hawarden cop. We need to pay them. And I know firsthand that the reason that a couple of them left was simply pay. And that was that simple answer. Now, I agree that 100% that we need to support them, but hiring the police chief is one of those things, like I said before, hiring the right people for the right positions and having them be a part of the decision-making process of what officers they're going to hire, that's an important thing. Because if the police chief has the support of the mayor and the city council, he will also have the support of his officers. So having that support and being behind them 100% because you have the right people in those positions, and you're going to have to pay them. Otherwise, they're going to come here and get trained and get their experience, and off to Sioux Center or off to the county they go. Because when you get a low-paying job like this, it becomes a stepping stone, is really what it becomes. So we don't want to keep that. We don't want to have this revolving door of police officers like that. We're going to have to pay them. It's plain and simple. So,
Larry?
I agree with what Derek and the others said. I do think that part of our problem was our police department didn't feel respected by the council. Sometimes that can happen in negotiations when you're negotiating salaries. But bottom line, everyone's having this problem, but if they can make more money next door, they're going to do that. So we do have to find a way to compensate them because we need them.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. At this point, if there's no other questions, I think what we'll do is let each candidate make one kind of final closing remark statement, and then we'll wrap things up. So, Ben, you are first.
I know, right?
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out here tonight and asking the questions that we did. Some of them were hard questions to answer. I don't think there's anybody sitting up here that has all the answers. But I think if you want to put somebody effective on the city council, you need to pick somebody who's willing to learn and evaluate and be a part of that decision-making process, other than just making a decision and sticking to it. Really digging deep into a problem and understanding it before you make a decision is important. And I think I've shown in my experience that I'm able to do that. So thank you for the time that you spent here tonight, and I would appreciate your vote on November 7th.
Thank you, Ben. Mike?
The biggest thing is just get out and vote. I mean, you got 4 good candidates up here. Any of us, I think, will do a good job. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. Derek?
I want to thank everybody for coming. One thing that I can say, and talk about myself is really hard actually, but I'm a passionate man. And there's always, making Hawarden better is always going to be a passion of mine. And I will do everything I can to make sound decisions and listen to decision makers to do that. And write in Larry Gregg for mayor.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah. Larry?
Well, I really like the people up here. I thought they had some great answers. I really like the fact that there is a choice for each open council seat. People will be able to make a choice. I like that. I think that's a good thing to have. And really, they can't go wrong as far as I can see. As far as the mayor position, I would have liked to have more people interested in that. But I do think that this group of people are going to help serve the city well.
Christy?
I just want to say that during my real estate instructions, during one of my classes, my instructor said, know what you know and know what you don't. Very important. And I have taken that with me every day. So I know what I know, and if I don't know it and you have a question, I'll find out for you. I'm not going to bamboozle you. You can trust that I'll find the answer and always communicate back with you. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Let's give all the candidates up here a round of applause. We thank each of the candidates for participating in the forum and also their willingness to serve our community. Thank you to the audience members for questions. Reminder, Tuesday, November 7th is Election Day. We have not only city government elections, we have school bond issue election, we have hospital board elections and school board elections. So please get out and vote. Tell your friends and your neighbors to get out and vote. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. So thank you and have a great evening.